just the other day, I went and I saw Elvis in theaters. This was never a movie that I was super hyped for, but I thought some of the trailers looked good. I like Elvis music, and I'm not the biggest fan of Baz Luhrmann. I hope I'm saying that right. But I have like a somewhat decent opinion on the Great Gatsby movie, so I thought this looked alright, so I was excited to check it out. And yeah, this will be my full spoiler review of Elvis. One negative, and just I feel like the whole thing where like he's on drugs and is cheating on Priscilla, that just happens very suddenly. It's not like built up to it all. Like early on, they kind of tease that he takes one pill, but that's in like the first 20-25 minutes. And then after the 2-hour mark, they're like, oh, by the way, he's hooked on drugs and prostitutes now. And it's like, oh, that was like a very sudden shift. And I know it's like, oh, it's been years, like it's taken over the course of years, but like they say that to us, but they don't really show that to us. That was very sudden. I wish they built up to it more. Onto the mixed. First off, like the whole like opening 20-25 minutes of the movie is very disjointed, like jumping back and forth. Like you start at the end, and then you're at the beginning, and then you're in the middle, but then you're even further in the beginning. And there's like weird images of clowns and snowmen and stuff, and it's like Tom Parker's narration is like all over the place. So it's a little disjointing. Barry Baz Luhrmann, and it was a pretty decent introduction, but it also, I feel like it skipped the Colonel meeting Elvis. Like, we used to hear Elvis say, oh, I met this guy, the Colonel, and he pitched me this thing. It's like, I feel like we should have seen that. Or maybe we did, and I just didn't notice. But I don't think we saw that. And then, finally, one thing I'm mixed on is this movie has a weird thing where it feels like it's going way too fast and speeding through a lot of things. But then it also feels like it's way too long. And that's an issue. And there's some things that's like, I feel like got an appropriate amount of time, like his Christmas special or him meeting Priscilla and stuff like that. But there's also some stuff where it's like, I feel like it was way too rushed. Like I said, like they'll pass years and like a couple minutes, but then like they'll give like 20 minutes to like this 2 days. So it's pacing like that makes it a little disjointed, and I wish it was a little more balanced. It didn't take me out of the movie. I still enjoyed it, but it kind of like every now and then I was like, oh, I wish I saw more of that, or I wish I saw less of that. But anyway, on to the positives. First off, Austin Butler's performance is, of course, amazing. It's what you'd expect from this movie. It's really, really good. He captures, like, of course, the big moments on stage with all his concerts and performances. He does great with the singing, but he also does great with the smaller, more personal moments, like after his mother dies, or him kind of struggling after he loses Priscilla. And all those moments balanced out with the intense stage presence work really well. And even though he's being manipulated by the Colonel, I like how we still see his determination to succeed. And when at the end, when he's struggling, I think it really hits home, like how much he's been hurt by all this. And I think that works really well. Tom Hanks is great as the Colonel. It's not often you see him in a super villainous role, and I think it works really well. It's hard for me to hate Tom Hanks, but he did that so great here, and I thought it was wonderful. All the music and songs were really good, and as usual with Baz Luhrmann, I'm not really a fan of him putting modern music in period pieces movies like Great Gatsby, but here it's not too, it doesn't get on you too much. It's not too noticeable, so I was mostly able to look past it. And just the moments where Austin Butler is up there singing some of Elvis' most iconic songs are really, really well done. And I also love that Can't Help Falling in Love with You is like the background score, like just a small orchestral version is like a background score to a lot of his romantic scenes, which I really, really like. That was a really good detail. And the directing style, like I said, it can be disjointing at times, but it's got the right energy and flair to match Elvis. So even though at times it's a little much, I think it was necessary for the most part. And it did lead to some really good-looking visuals and concert sequences that I thought worked really well. I did like the way some of the montages were done as we see like years pass. I like some of the ways those were done. And I like the ending too, how everything felt a little wrapped up. And I like how we had like Austin Butler doing Elvis's final performance, but then it switched to the real-life Elvis. And I thought that was really touching, especially with the final message being like, about the Colonel's fall and how Elvis is still super successful. I like that, so I really like the ending too. And just the way it travels through Elvis's whole life and his highest and lowest moments, I think work pretty well. So this movie definitely has pacing issues, and sometimes it's a little too fast, sometimes it's a little too slow. But overall, I think it's led by some great performances, some really good visuals, great music, and just a good, interesting story. So it definitely could have been better, but it could have been a whole lot worse, and I really enjoyed it. So I'd give Elvis an 8 out of 10. Good, solid movie, and yeah, so upcoming reviews include Stranger Things and Thor and more. That rhymed. Well, I hope you guys liked the video. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.